As a professional photographer, technologist, and color geek, I had a chance to work with so many displays in this past decade, and we are at the right time right now to look back and see how the pro display market has changed in this past decade and where we will go, or where I think we will go in the next 10 years or so. So we're going to speculate on that a little bit, and in this video what I'm going to do is give you the state of the pro display as we stand right now, and also we're going to do a BenQ year in review as well because it has been a really busy year for them. I'm Mark Suwansang, BenQ Ambassador, and let's get started. Before we start, subscribe and hit on the notification bell so you'll be updated when I upload a new video. So state of the pro display. Let's start out at the beginning of this decade. In the very start, there was really only two large manufacturers who are making professional hardware calibrated displays that are specifically targeted towards the pro photography market. Fast forward to today, 10 years later, it's a very different landscape now, where we have so many different manufacturers. The price point have actually come down quite a bit, and the value have gone up substantially for what you can get for the same dollar amount nowadays. So let's really start out with that. BenQ have introduced their Pro line of hardware calibrated display. In this case, we're specifically referring to the SW line in 2015. At that time, there was, like I said, again, only just two players, and BenQ really came in and made a bang in this market where they changed the whole paradigm of this entire industry. Their price point of the display, much lower. The quality comes really close to the other two big manufacturers who are charging 2 to 5 times as much for a display, and their display added a lot of value by, including the hockey puck, the shading hood that comes with it. So the whole market of the pro display has changed a lot. The other thing too that have changed from the beginning of this decade is that we start to get technologies that are improving. All these panels behind me here are LCD, their IPS panel. That means that the angle viewing is fantastic from side to side and also top to bottom as well. So if you have people gathering around display in a studio production setting, they're perfect for that. The other thing too is the backlit technology. They have gone, and we have actually changed from using CCFL, cold cathode fluorescence light lamp, to now using an LED light. So with these white LED light, there's less of a warm-up time. When you turn the display, it's on right away. They last longer, and they don't provide color cast after 5 years. In fact, I just did a review on the SW2700 PT, the 5-year review of it, and I'm not seeing any color cast, where if I have an older display from the beginning of a decade that is still using CCFL lamp, I would start to see color cast on the panel already. So the technology has improved and changed so much. So where do I think we're going to go from here? That's very interesting because a lot of different companies are bringing out different technologies. One of the names that we have actually heard about regarding these technologies are OLED, or organic light eliminating diode. Those are really interesting because the OLED can produce really true blacks. The problem is with OLED is that they have a lot of subsampling pixels issue, meaning that the color tends to go really saturated, and it's extremely hard to calibrate the OLED display. So I'm not really sure of the pro market, specifically the professional photographer display market. Are we really going to go to OLED or not? I think the technology right now where we can actually maybe look towards is probably mini or micro LED that's actually out there right now, where there's a lot more local dimming zones in the display. And I know some manufacturers are already coming out with these newer technologies, but because they're so new right now, it's still an untested technologies where these LED IPS panel are actually a proven technology to where they're going to work consistently and also has a longevity. So that's something different between the two technologies. And I'm sure that within this decade, there's going to be much more new technologies that are coming out for these display in the pro market space. The other thing too that we start to see towards the end of this decade, as I mentioned before, is that, well, in 2015, we got 3 manufacturers. As of now, we have about 7 that are in the pro display market. So there's plenty more. There's companies that have been around before that hasn't released a hardware calibrated display that are now releasing some. So there's just a lot of options out there right now. So the best thing that you can do is look for a good spec and one that will actually fit your workflow, because all the specs are, a little different here and there. The price point are very similar, but you can actually choose the one that you like best, and also reviews always help for that. Now, what I like to do is transition us into a year in review of BenQ a little bit. 2019 has been a phenomenal year for BenQ and the SW line and also their PD line display. And it's been a really busy year for them. Let's start with the SW. This year, we saw two new SW display. One of them that has been released mid-year, that is the SW270C. That is the display that has a USB Type-C. It is a 27-inch 2K panel, and it's also BenQ upgraded panel that they have actually introduced a new technology called Uniformity version 2, which makes the display uniformity across left to right, top to bottom, really fantastic. If you want to find out more about it, go check out my review. I will leave the link in the description below. Also, BenQ have announced already the SW321C. That is their new 32-inch flagship hardware calibrated display. And that display, not only does it has USB Type-C, Uniformity version 2, but it also has a new color mode called Paper Color Sync. And I think that if you're a photographer and you're doing any kind of printing work at all, especially if you have an inkjet printer, you print inside your home office or studio, I feel that that display is going to be a big game changer, Paper Color Sync feature. So what that does is that the new panel, the SW321C, has a new coating on display that makes it even more matter than any of these displays that came before it. And through the Paper Color Sync mode, the software is actually going to load these paper parameters into the displays. It's like a soft proof, but doing it via hardware of the display. Again, I have a feeling this is going to be a big game changer, so we're going to keep an eye out for that, but make sure you subscribe to my channel for that one though, so that you'll be updated on those videos. And let's move in a little bit and shift gear and talk about the PD line. It's been a busy year for a PD line too. They have released the PD2720U, 27-inch 4K design display that they have released with a new modern sleek design. I really love the design of the PD line. I gotta tell you, that's been really one of the things that I really love about that line. And also it has Thunderbolt 3 on there, so that run over USB Type-C, so that's really amazing. The other display too that I have previewed and also reviewed already is the PD3220U. That is also a really awesome display. It is a 32-inch 4K display, and as a designer display, it's non-hardware calibration, so you can use software to calibrate it, but I've been testing that, and there's just a lot of really great things to love about that display. So that has been, like I said, a busy year for them. And there's also one more coming, and that is the PD3420Q. So that one's going to be released in 2020. It's going to be a widescreen 34-inch designer display, and the resolution I think is going to be 1440 height, and I can't remember what it is exactly on the long side, but it's going to be a wide panel. So that one, when we get it in, we're going to do a review on that. So it's been a really busy year for BenQ, and I think that they're doing a lot of great things, especially with the SW line, which I use every day. In fact, many of the SW lines are my daily driver. I use, for instance, the SW320. That is their older 32-inch model that has been discontinued for the past few years, and that's my daily driver. And I gotta tell you, I love that panel so much. And the new 32-inch is coming out, and I'm going to review the heck out of it. So this is the state of the Pro display as we end this decade and start a new one, and also year in review for BenQ as well. I hope that you find this helpful. If you haven't yet, please like this video, subscribe to my channel, hit on the notification bell so you'll be updated every time I upload cool videos like this. And until next time, art is right.